So hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast, the nerdy podcast hosted by two northern nerds. I'm one of your hosts, Sam.
And I'm the other host, Paul.
And today we're joined by a very, very special guest, Kelly.
Hello!
Hi, Kelly.
If you're aware of, like say, our Facebook group, you'll probably know Kelly as she put it quite as the master of the memes.
Meme maiden.
The meme maiden, yes, that was it. Like I say, she is one of our regular posters, and she actually was the winner of the Nerdy Up North t-shirt, which she is showing off right now.
Amazing.
So if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Kelly, and a little bit about your nerdy tendencies.
Right, old school sort of nerd here. I'm nerdy in the way that I'm the sort of person who just wears whatever I wear. I wear a lot of fannies, not actual.
I've noticed, yes.
Again, but more to do with kind of, I'm all about celebrating femininity and body positivity, so I'm always wearing some sort of either vulva or phallic representation.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm quite nerdy in regards to old school games. I used to be a right PlayStation 1 nerd, to the point where I was actually featured as a star letter in Planet.
Wow.
So you'd have done well last week on the podcast then.
we have fame in here.
So we did reach...
In general, really.
Cool. So we did reach out to the group and see which members wanted to be part of the podcast, because like I say, we wanted to, because just talking to me and Sam might get a little bit boring, so to get a little bit more interesting and get more people involved. And Kelly was one of the ones that we were hoping would get in touch, because she is quite the colourful character, as you can probably see, or hear if you listen on Spotify or iTunes. So, get the plugs in as well. But again, this week we're doing the top fives again. So this top five is top five comedies, which we thought would be quite fun, and it become a bit of a pain in the arse, I'll be honest with you. A little bit difficult, more than I was expecting.
I'm gonna put it. Mine's just a themed, and you'll get the theme when you get the first one. And this, I could have gone with thousands, to be honest. This list could have gone on forever, but I had to narrow it down and think of what I actually watch. And you'll understand it when I start saying it. And, are we ready to dive straight into the top fives?
Yes. Well, I was getting a bit, like I say, nervous as well, because Kelly was messengers while the preparation she was been doing. Jesus Christ! I don't think I'm going to sound professional at all. Look at that notes. Look, that's from a former.
Oh my God, that's like mine. I've got mine too.
So yes, so the girls are going to outdo me here. But yes, and just before we start, I want to shout out as well, because we've had two milestones this week, two quite big ones. We've had 2,000 members join the Facebook group this week, which totally fucking blew me head.
Really?
Most of them's American. I don't know where the Americans have fucking come from. So we've been.
But hey, all of our American friends, I hope you can understand us if you're listening.
Yes. And actually, just before that as well, we hit 2,000 followers on Instagram as well. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind, shall we say?
Round of applause.
Oh, I'm not even 6 months old yet. Next month's our 6 months since we started.
Wow. That's crazy. So what episode are we on? Are we on episode 11?
11 now, yeah.
My God, episode 11. Right, so every week we do top five. And as Paul said, it's top five comedies this week. And I think our guest should kick it off.
Yep. Oh. Pressure's on now. You lose your podcast cherry here.
Well, I'll start off by saying this has really made me realise that I really don't like comedy films. And
why did we pick comedies then?
No. I always thought, like, I'm a funny bugger. You know, I must like some sort of. I think it's my tendency. If I like comedy, I want something bite-sized, an episode of something. But I could like wax lyrical on like comedy shows till house come home. But when it came to films, and I was just like, oh, And I think the latest comedy that I actually chose was like 2004. And I was like, Jesus,
oh yeah, I think that's mine too.
Like, were they born then? I think I'm going to start with that one, to be honest, just to ease in. It was made in 2004, directed by Jared Hess, and it's pretty much a comedy where nought happens.
It's okay.
And it's Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh
my God.
The most awkward, geekiest, nerdiest thing. Yes. You know what? Never even come in my mind, but it's an awesome shout. I love that film as well.
Can I break this right now? Never seen it.
You might see a that's a running thing with Sam.
It's a running thing. I'm terrible, but yeah, I've never seen it.
Do you know what? The thing is, it's one of these films where I know it's like Marmite. You either love it, you get it, hate it because you're just like, what the hell is this? Because it's a comedy where I don't think it's actually funny, but it's just interpret the awkwardness, and it's just it brings me back memories of being at college. So I remember festival and buying a Vote for Pedro like t-shirt and be like, yeah,
I'm cool.
And then getting everyone asking you, what's the t-shirt? Who's Pedro? Why are you voting for him?
I was like, probably like, hey, Vote for Pedro, Napoleon Dynamite, like, hey.
Seeing that though, it reminds us of being in Pizzazz, because there was a lot of people in Pizzazz wearing Vote for Pedro t-shirts, but I think it was out the same time as The Office, because it's the same type of comedy as The Office, quite.
Oh, so I'd like it then.
Yeah, well, you'll probably be.
I love cringy comedies, and that probably I do. Do you know what? Do you know what though? I own it.
Yeah.
I have it on DVD. I've just never watched it.
It's one of them things where you think you'll be like, I quite fancy watching it, but if it's on, you'll start watching, you'll just not be able to, because the stuff that happens in the film, it's mesmerizing. And my favorite part of it, like I say, spoilers, is when he's discussing what a liger is, and to the girl that like you don't know whether he's crushing on her or she's crushing on him, and it's kind of like, that's a liger. That's all. It's got this really monotone voice as well. I
do like the actor who plays him. He is really funny.
John Heder.
Yeah.
Don't worry, pronunciation is not frowned upon in here because I can't pronounce jack shit.
Blades of Glory, and I really enjoyed him in that. Like, I thought he was
really funny.
Really good in that. But what I think is quite funny about this film is it's set, kind of in 2004, 2005. It's written on his little like kind of student card sort of thing. He's like this 16-year-old student, but it's just the place where they live. It's like the 80s. It is untouched by modern culture. Yeah. Everyone, the girls have side ponytails. And, like Napoleon wears moon boots.
It's like it's like the time that it's like time stopped and like never moved on type thing. Even his brothers were like the most weirdest things you'll ever.
Absolutely insane. I think at some point he's like his Uncle Rico, who's looking after him because the nana broke her coccyx while going on like doom buggies and sand stuff, and he has to look after like the two brothers, Kip and Napoleon, and he's selling Tupperware, and I'm like, he's going around selling Tupperware, and it's just like.
But you see, now the way you said Tupperware there, now I'm having eerie in the under vibes.
Oh God, yes, the Foreverware. That's one of the best episodes.
What really sticks with us with Napoleon Dynamite is just the opening sequence, which has got an absolutely lush song, The White Stripes said We're Going to Be Friends. Yeah. And it's just got a jaunty element to it. And it's just like loads of food with the names of like the characters and like ketchup or little pencil, and it's got the writer there and stuff. It's just lovely build up. But you've got Napoleon Dynamite, who's just the most socially awkward, heavy breathing, Absolutely.
It probably was me as a teenager, so yeah. It's like if girls talk to us, don't know what to say. How do I hide now?
It's absolutely great in regards to the one-liners, like, do the chickens have large talons? Yes, do they?
That shouldn't be funny.
And what is it? He's in his classroom, and he's got tots, tater tots.
He's tater tots. And one of his mates is going, "Give us a tot." He's going, "No, get your own tots." So he punches him in the leg and it squashed them. He's going,
oh, I feel so left out. I need to watch this film now.
Well, not to spoil it, but the end bit is the best thing in it. Again, it is a big thing for it. When you watch it, you either sitting there with your mouth open going, "What the fuck am I watching?" Or
is it the dance?
Tears crying. Oh, yeah, the dance.
The dance. I've seen it a million times, but it's like it always. Anytime a list comes up of Napoleon Dynamite, the dance is always shown, but I have no references to where that dance has come from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can't hate Jamiroquai. Amazing.
That's the thing. Again, another film that's got an amazing soundtrack.
Oh, absolutely perfect. I need to mention this before we move on. I love his doodles. He draws light.
Yes.
He also draws this girl who he wants to ask to the dance. It's Trisha, and does this absolutely horrific portrait of her, and she's just got the shade, and she looks like she's got this guitache. And he's just like, yeah, it took me like so many hours to do the shading on your upper lip, and she's like looking at her like, thank you.
That's the thing, because it's an awkward film, but when you're talking about it, we're laughing at. That's what makes a good comedy. It's like the memories of that film. It kind of breaks you down. Like I'm nearly in tears here thinking about it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna know. But if I'm gonna go and watch it now, all I'm gonna be thinking of is Kelly's facial expressions. Like that's what's gonna make us laugh more.
Exactly. But that's the thing. So you've got something now you'll like relate it to, and it probably will mean more to you because of that.
I think it's class.
No, that's a good pick. Good pick. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Kelly, or are you happy that you've mentioned it?
I really love Kit's girlfriend, La Fonda.
La Fonda.
He's on like internet chat rooms, and I think that's the only thing that's modern about this 80s, 90s like town. Like he's like, oh yeah, I'm on the internet and blah blah blah, blah. And he meets this girl, and it comes to see him, and she's just this absolutely like gorgeous ghetto bucks and black chick who's just, and he's this skinny like white guy, and she get like them up, and he's like just
all gangster and stuff afterwards as well.
But she's the one who gives Napoleon the tape with canned heat on, and he learns how to dance to do this skit so that Pedro can become president against Summer Wheatley, who's the the pop girl. It just goes to show, don't have to be popular to be a winner, man. You can.
It did have a point. It had a meaning.
I'm right. Amazing.
Oh my god! Yeah. I've never laughed so much at a film I've never seen.
See, I hope it lives up to it that we'll talk about like that when you do watch it. You'll probably watch it after this.
I'm gonna have the giggles all the way through, and then we're only on one. Like we've just done one.
It's a comedy podcast. It's fine. We'll take over Shagmar and Annoyed now. It's fine.
Yay!
Right.
Are we ready to move on? Paul, do you want to go next?
Cool. So, I love this film. It was a bomb when it came out. It lost money big style. Probably only found its home it only found its home on DVD when it came out after that. It was 1995. It was directed by the man that basically inspired us to do these podcasts, Kevin Smith. It was the most quotable film I've ever seen from my teenage years. I quote this on anyone that used to give a shit. I used to say, just because a guy reads comics doesn't mean he can't fight back. It was Mallrats. And this film, honestly, from start to finish, this, with me being a comic book nerd, I related heavily to this. And again, when I bought the DVD, I know I found out later on there's actually 2 versions of the film.
Yep. I have the other version, the one with the
British and the British.
It's the Renaissance Fair or something.
Yeah, where it's a Civil War reenactment.
Civil War, that's it.
And
That's it. I have that
shoot
version.
someone and they keep making jokes all the way through, but they cut all it out. But they left one bit in the parking back, and he goes, "Well, you that guy in the advert?" He turns around and smacks him. But you never really found that out. But that's because he accidentally shot someone and was on the news. Because the whole start where he goes, it's in the going to go to Florida, that wasn't actually in the original film. No, that was filmed afterwards.
I have that version.
Yeah, but honestly, this film has so many elements that just brings us joy and laughter. From, like, say, the guy, I can't remember his name now, standing there trying to say the sailboat, like with the magic eye.
Oh, and it's Ethan Spaulding.
Yes, I'm trying to think of his name in the film now. But when the kids say, "Hey, it's a scooter," and he goes, "Hi, you dumb bastards! It's a sailboat. A scooter is a sailboat." But you know what? The Easter Bunny isn't real.
You mean in tongues? I haven't seen this.
Really?
Oh, the shrieks! I'm like, it's a good one.
When you watch it, you'll feel like right at home. If you are like a comic book nerd, you will feel right at home because you are that person. Like, I am Brody. Like, that's like, I can, if you argue with us, it's going to be in comic book terms, it's going to be in nerdy terms, and that's his defense. He always uses the comic book terms to like argue back with people.
He was obsessed with comic book,
choice.
Like comic book genitalia. Like he was talking about like the Thing's cock, or if Superman was shagging Lois, would he blow when he came? Would he blow back But like, say the cast was brilliant. Like I just said, Brody is Jason Lee. Like say from My Name Is Earl, he was absolutely. Like, say I wanted to be Brody. Like say this, like the smart aleck, dickhead, basically. Always had to be right.
I'm female and I wanted to be Brody. And also, this is Ben Affleck's first feature film.
I don't know if it was his first because he was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I don't know if it was.
I think this is his first feature film where he's credited because I don't think he's credited in Buffy.
He's not. He's Buffy, the film, no.
Right, because Ben Affleck again played a good part in this, where he plays a douchebag salesperson, like Shannon Doherty from 90210 and Charmed. She was in it. She was played like Brody's ex-girlfriend. Like I said, could go on, but like I said, the stars that you said were pretty much like anyone that you've seen in a TV show or in a film in the 90s were pretty much in. And like I said, Kevin Smith as Silent Bob and Jay Muse and as Jay is just like I say, when they start talking about all the missions to take down the show, and Michael Rourke is in as
Michael Rourke's
in it as well. And do you want to try the pretzel?
The Rogue One is amazing. We got one of, if you listen to any of the Smodcast podcasts, you get Tell 'em Steve Dave from Mallrats, because it is Bry and Walt from Tell 'em Steve Dave. They're just credited as fanboys, but the Kevin Smith's oldest friends, and
Don is as a like say contestant in the blind it's
Glenn
like,
Hicks, does he play?
Yeah, Glenn Hicks he's called in this. But if Kelly, if you haven't seen it, this is the premise. Like two people went for a breakup and they go to the mall where they're having what basically is like blind date with one of his ex-girlfriends, and they go off on this mission to try and win back his girlfriend, and just shit happens. That's the
whole adventure in the mall.
And it goes for all these different characters, and like say you can't help but fall in love with each of them. Each of them's got such a personality. And every single one of them you can see yourself in, or see one of your friends in as well. That's what I love about it, because it's so relatable, and it's got the best cameo in as well from Stan Lee.
Yep, the man is in it. The man is in it, and if you ever listen to Kevin talk about this, and he can spin a yarn on Kevin Stan Lee for a decade, he will always say that Stan Lee had to add the line in at the end where, because Brody is obsessed with sex, basically. Anything, absolutely obsessed with it. But Stanley comes in and tries to like get him to look at the romantic side of life, and does this beautiful story about a girl that got away, and Stan couldn't do that because Stan's girl didn't get away. He met his wife, and within 76 days they were married. Like that's how they, and he hated the idea that that was his character, so he added in at the end when Jeremy London's character comes up to him and says, "Did you tell him the story? Like, was it true?" And he went, "No, of course it wasn't true. I got my girl." He had to put that in because he felt he was betraying his wife. That's how sweet this man actually is. Like, he hated the idea that his wife was going to see that and think, "Oh my God, I'm second best."
Was it someone else?
Yes.
Oh.
But
No.
Kevin can talk forever about Stanley, and it's even featured in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
He's reading the Mallrats script when he's on the bus.
On the bus, but the way I would probably describe this, I know it sounds strange, it is a romantic comedy because
it is.
It's so, but it's for the stoner generation. It's for us. Like at the time when we were the dropouts, we were at college, we were looking for our place, and like I said, the same thing was going on in America at that time. And like I say, we probably found our own things instead of going to the mall. We went to like say Mr. Blue or like say Zaz.
Oh, Mr. Blue.
A bar 36. Like I said, or even going back to like Gummy and Shady Independent. Bar 36, we got Marlowe's before that. But
my God.
that's what they did, where we kind of hung about and talked about films and shit and comics. That's what these were doing, and
we did.
We were having these conversations. But like even
we definitely did because we went to college together.
Yeah, oh no, but the whole thing when I like the bit that broke me, I was crying with laughter. Is the whole when Brody's telling that story on stage about his about the plane going down and how everyone decided to pull the junk out and start off because they all thought they were going to crash. And then it suddenly went out, and then they were like, did he come? He was going, "So shit, man. Some things you don't even talk about." It's like, what the fuck?
It just comes out of nowhere. It's just the most random. There's twice that happens. There's a hamster story, and then there's the plane one, and they're just random stories that come out of nowhere. And what I was going to say is that we went to college, and on a Tuesday, if you remember this, we used to drop college, we used to get on the bus, and we used to go to Newcastle, and we used to go and sit on the green, and we did that nearly every Tuesday. And then we would go down the town on a Tuesday night. We were, because we had our own little tight little group, and we used that was our little mall hangout.
Thought it was so cool being all get emo and shit.
You can speak for yourself, mate. Getting all goth and shit.
I never went.
I didn't hit the emo phase. I don't think.
We'll get some photos out and see, shall we say?
Oh God, there is some available online.
Girl phase. I just wore kilts a lot and really dyeing my hair, so my black hair was down here. And it's just to walk around like thinking I was going to kill some students.
Yeah, I thought I was.
Bless you. I think you're a bit younger than us, though, Kelly, aren't you? Like you're only a young.
35.
Yeah, 35. So a few years.
Yeah.
So I'm 39 this year.
I'm 38 this year.
I went to college. I did a year at sixth form and then like totally failed, and then went to college. So I was basically the year behind as well. It was. Yeah, but college was good time. City of Sunderland College posse. We used to go to Infuse on a Tuesday night, and
we used to go to Liberties on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, Liberties before. Liberties.
We went to Liberties on a Tuesday night.
Pilgrim
Remember
as well.
Liberty Eye?
You used to go to Pilgrim as well when no one used to be in. You used to just let us play our own music in there.
Yeah. Can you remember Liberty Eye though? How smoky it was in Liberties. You always used to get smoke in your eyes, and your eyes would always be watering. So we classed it as Liberty Eye.
And you could smoke in pubs, shall we say?
Yeah. Are we ready to move on?
That's my first pick. Mallrats.
Right. So I said mine has a theme, and I'm going to kick it off with the one that you're going to get an idea of what the theme is of my picks. It's from 2004. Mm-hmm. It's directed, you're gonna have to bear with us on this one. It's directed by Shea J Shandareskia.
Yeah.
It is from the comedy troupe Broken Lizard.
Ah, right. Okay.
It's not what you think it is. It's the other one. It's the comedy slasher Club Dread.
I've
you
watched
think it was
it
Super
once.
Troopers?
It was awful.
I love this film. It is outrageously terrible.
Yeah.
It has every horror cliche going, but it still holds up when it comes to the funnies, because I find this troupe hilarious. These guys are on my level. On my level. I love this.
What was it they did as well? Done in Reno 99, was it? Or
Reno 99 and Super Troopers.
Beer Fest or something?
Yeah, Beer Fest. That was like an Oktoberfest one, but yeah, Beer Fest. And they've done Super Troopers 2 and Club Dread, and it has Bill Paxton in it. It has Brittany Daniels in it from Sweet Valley High. It's got the guys from Broken Lizard in it as well, and it's cliche, it's tacky, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Now you can see where I'm going.
I'll admit, I'm surprised I got through the film, to be honest.
I watched it today. I love it.
I don't have many memories of it. I just remember going, what am I watching? Did it come out after Scary Movie, though, didn't it? It come out after, like, say, that type of films. Yeah. So it's not a homage to slashers. It's a pure piss take of slashers. Yeah.
And possibly done not in the greatest taste either. But it's still, there's just something about it. I don't know if it's just them, because I really like them. Like I love Super Troopers, even though it's not on my list. I do like it, but it's just my level of humor. That's like.
But that's what comedy's always good about. Like, say, different people get different things out of it, and that's why I always like, say, because to me, I might be wrong here, but I don't think there's been a good comedy film in the last, say, 10 years that's been brilliant.
No, you are very much wrong, and I haven't put it on my list, so I hope no one's put it on their list. But Spy is one of the greatest comedy films that has ever been released in the last 10 years. And you can fight us, Spy, and you can fight us on it.
Fight us.
You can fight me on it, because Jason Statham, playing Jason Statham, is just the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life, and it is Melissa McCartney at her very fucking best. But it's not on my list, so hope it's not on yours either.
No, I don't think it's going to be on. But no, if you think about, like, say, all the like comedy films, like 80s King here, all the films in the big 80s films were comedies, and like, say, in the 90s it started to progress and it changed, but it kind of changed how comedies were. Now it's like all big budget blockbusters. I don't think many studios are prepared to do a risk on a comedy anymore, because it's not guaranteed money.
I actually always write down the Rotten Tomatoes scores. Do you want to know what the Rotten Tomatoes scores?
Oh, well, if this is over 30, I'll be surprised.
29. It's 29. It's 29, and it deserved every one of that 29. Because for some people, I totally get it. It's really bad film, but it's so borderline bad that it's good, and it's funny, and it's just cliche, and like the whole Bill Paxton is playing a Jimmy Buffett. I don't know if wannabe, but he kind of claims he's the first, and the songs that are played throughout it are hilarious. You've got to really listen to them, because they're like that Margaritaville kind of song, but the lyrics are just, it's so batshit crazy. I find it so funny.
I take it you've not seen this one.
No, but I'm making, like, in my
making lists.
I'm making a list. I'm making a list. I've got my picture of Spider-Man there.
I'm still disappointed not many people got involved with that. Still gutted about it.
I was very upset by that, because I timed 3 minutes.
Same here.
And I took special care on the head, and then ran out of arm space and time. But no, I'm making a list of all the stuff because I'm hoping it might actually reignite a love for comedy. Because as I say, my go-to for films is existential stuff, like, films where no happens.
Like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and stuff like that.
Little Miss Sunshine, I could watch that.
Yeah.
I love Little Miss Sunshine, and I
over.
didn't put it on my list. Little Miss Sunshine is one of my go-tos sad
Oh.
films. Like if I'm sad, I put Little Miss Sunshine on, and Grown Ups. Don't judge me, but I do like they're the two films like I would put on and watch when I'm feeling sad.
Yeah.
I haven't put them on my list.
No.
You know, it's so awful. Like I'm not going to talk about, but those are my sort of films. So when I thought kids, and I was just like.
We thought when me and Sam talked about, we thought we'll pick someone easy because, like I say, we don't know, like say, because with it being your first time, we'll think, comedies. Anyone can talk about comedies, but it is
apparently not.
Yeah, it is quite hard. But yes, Club Dread. That is. Well, you always do surprises with a few of your picks, so that one's totally caught as left field there. So well done.
There you go. There's my number one pick. So. Kelly, we're back to you.
Right. I was discussing this with my brother earlier on. So I was saying like about comedies, because I spoke to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, comedies!" He just loves comedy films. And I mentioned this pick, and he was just like, "It's not funny." I remember watching it as a child. I used to get babysat by a next door neighbour. And she used to put this on for us, and if I wasn't paying attention to it, she'd threaten, "I'll put Back to the Future on." And I used to think that was boring, so I'd be like, "No, leave this on." 1988. As soon as the Geffen Company pops up, you know what it is. It's Beetlejuice.
Oh my god!
It has shaped my humour, and from being.
Paul, is it on your list?
It was my next pick.
There you go.
Just before we start talking properly, I've got something I'm going to try and do. So see if this works.
Do it.
Bear with us. See, because I was going to do it this way. So did that come through?
Yep, I can hear it. I don't know if anyone else could hear it, but I could hear it. If not, they just watched us dancing for a few minutes to nothing.
So I wasn't going to mention the name of the film. I was just going to say, can you guess the film and play the song?
Oh, it was the way you put your head down. I knew that you had it. I knew it was on your list. I was like, oh.
Mentioned this to my brother, and I was just like, oh, and he went, "It's not even funny." I was just like,
"How is it not funny?"
What? But I think, like, as I say, I remember watching this probably far too young than I should have watched it, and I only really got appreciation of it is like when you actually understood the humor.
Definitely.
You've got there, got here, clueless newly deads try to haunt bizarre NY socialites out of their home, but need an undead sex pest to help out.
Perfect. Yep.
What a description! Undead sex pest. I love it.
Yeah, undead sex pest. And it really, I remember as like a child, there's a picture of me at Christmas, and I've got like a naked Barbie, because you always used to lose Barbie's clothes. And I had a Beetlejuice action figure where the head came off and he had a shrunken head and he used to spin.
Yes.
Yep.
They were my staple toys, you know what I mean? I was just like, I loved Beetlejuice. And this basically blossomed a Tim Burton obsession from that. I watched it before Nightmare Before Christmas came out. I remember getting Nightmare Before Christmas on VHS because I knew that was Tim Burton, and I think that I got that age 7 or 8, you know.
I think it's either. I think when it comes to Tim Burton, it's either you fall in love with Nightmare Before Christmas or it's Beetlejuice. It's like either one of them lead you to the Tim Burton obsession. Yeah, definitely.
But for a cast, the cast for this, like, brilliant. Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin, Catherine O'Hara, and again 80s actor as well, Jeffrey Jones, who didn't do much work after the 80s. But
let's not talk about Jeffrey Jones, the better. He's not a good person.
Right, okay.
He's not a good. I think I'm talking about the right person. He was the guy from Stay Tuned. It's the dad, isn't it?
He was the one
sure.
in Howard the Duck as well, wasn't it? So
he is not a good. I don't think he's a good person. I think
all
if
right.
you Google him, he doesn't work for a reason.
Right, okay. Okay, we're not going to go to the Me Too moment for that one, so that's fine.
Nope.
For that, you know, when she says Beetlejuice and he throws the zip on the mouth.
Yep. Beetlejuice. Let's get the. But there's so many, like visually, this film was brilliant. Like I hadn't seen a film like this, like that looks wise before in my life. Like the colours, even
costumes,
how dark it
horrors.
was. Things like the set pieces, everything was done so well. Like even like say Winona Ryder and the red wedding dresses stuff, that striking.
The costumes are unreal.
But they also had nightmare fuel as well. Like the whole dinner scene when the hands come up, or I wish I've got them down.
Sandworms. My
yeah,
God.
Sandworms.
Worm.
But can you believe though? After this, the stuff that they brought out, like said, as you said, the figure range, but they brought out a Beetlejuice cartoon. That was only short-lived. But yeah, like I said, as a kind of like horror comedy, because that's what it was. It was like kind of like a horror-y, shall we say? That's
a good one.
But I think that started off my obsession with Winona Ryder as well, because like after I watched Beetlejuice, I kind of watched Heathers, and stuff like that. But wow, like say, as you said, as a film that when I watched as a kid, I didn't quite get it, but I knew I liked it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And for the musical numbers, because there's 2 musical numbers in that, like the end bit, like say, Serona, do your body line. Because everyone wanted to do that. I bet everyone wanted to dance. Like everyone could think I would do that if I had ghosts around the house. And also,
I do it now. Wasn't that the closing song of Chambers? Wasn't
yes,
that like
I think so.
That was the going home song. Yeah, that was the going home song of Chambers. You used to play that, and you were like, "Right, it's time to go home."
I mean, what I like about the film, it's not a laugh out loud comedy. Don't think, right? But there was just certain things that are absolutely hilarious, like when you know, they find that and the handbook had recently deceased, and they find that, you know, like get in touch with Beetlejuice sort of thing. You know, bioethics, he'll help you out, and it's just one of the funniest things is that just cracks me up is when he goes on that rant and I'm like, was it? And I've seen The Exorcist 167 times.
And it keeps getting
every single time
I just said it's the attention to detail that's so good as well. Like how they distract Beetlejuice. We'll just get a little whorehouse. girls.
Oh my
like,
God.
And he's covered in he's covered in like spikes.
Yeah, because they're trying to carry him about and stuff like that. But I know it sounds strange because it's such a weird film, but it's such a feel-good film as well.
Yeah, it is. Like in a way,
because the whole morality is it's about family and feeling that you belong to something.
Yeah, but don't you feel that she at the end is? But don't you feel at the end that she's kind of like left her family and gone to the ghost family? Like she's more attracted to the ghost family than her own family, and it's like that's a bit sad.
Like I feel like you feel more for the dead than the living, which is really like quite a deep sort of message. Because I mean, you absolutely come to hate the socialites and how they are using, you know, the Maitlands when they're like kind of bringing them back from the dead, but they're rotting.
Yeah.
And how we don't know what we do, and it's just like so they get like more money and like, you know, all this all about
entertainment value, I think.
Yeah.
But growing up, I so wanted to be Catherine O'Hara's character more than anything in the world. Probably still do right now.
She was beautiful in that film, though. She was absolutely stunning.
That woman is absolutely stunning. Like, I don't want to say even today, but like, she is just beautiful woman. And I love the fact that in Schitt's Creek, she is very Tim Burton inspired in her costumes. They still continue on in her career, and it has nothing to do with Tim Burton. But Moira Rose, monochromatic outfit she wears is just, she even has Tim Burton style umbrella. She has the black and white umbrella. Yeah, it is. She honestly, watching Schitt's Creek is just a joy just to watch, if nothing else, but to watch Moira and her costumes, because they are exactly like they were when she was in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
I love that woman.
And I'll always say this as well with Beetlejuice, because like there's a lot of films that I always want sequels, and because like say you love them
characters. I do not want one for
I do not want a sequel to Beetlejuice.
No.
I'm happy with what I got. I think that story was told and done to the point where I don't need anymore. I got happy closure with that film. And
do not remake it. Do not do a sequel.
No. I need. Was it The Waiting Room? That's one of me a humorous place. That waiting room. I love the smoking man.
Yes, you got his throat.
I tell you what, it's not about the waiting room though. One of my friends, Beth Connor now, Halloween, she dresses up she plans it for like 6 months. She went as Miss Argentina one year and it was breathtaking, literally head to toe painted in the colours.
Get Beth to put one of the photos up because she is amazing. Beth and Paul's wife, Nick, really go all out when it comes to Halloween costumes. Because Nick's pulled some spectacular ones before.
Kelly Moon's up there as well, but like I say, I can still remember it because she told us that she was thinking it, and I know there's been 2 that's been amazing, like the Miss Argentina, and she done the woman from Mars Attacks one year with the big beehive.
She looks amazing.
She always does, like, she spends like not like a couple of quid, she spends hundreds of pounds on her outfits as well. But I'll see if I can get a picture for that. I'll try and get them. But honestly,
get her to put them up because Beth's costumes are amazing.
Whoever says Beetlejuice isn't a comedy, they're wrong. Simple as.
Yeah.
Cool, so that was a joint pick there, Kelly.
It's gonna happen. I think I knew I didn't pick it because I knew you would pick it. This is how it's getting now. We're like 11 episodes in, and we're starting to figure it out. Like I know I can't pick this because he'll pick it.
Yeah,
that's like how it's starting.
I think the 80s one threw us because that would have been in my choice in the 80s, but I was expecting you to pick it and you were expecting me to pick it, so that was the only time.
Yeah, and then we didn't pick them at all. Then we didn't.
I was really annoyed that time. I was really annoyed about it.
So you have just had a joint second one, so I'll do my second one, and I'm gonna go with possibly one of my favorite films, even though it didn't even make the favorite list because I knew I would use it again I would need to use it again at some point. This feels very fitting. It's from 1992. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis. It stars the amazing Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep. It's Death Becomes Her.
I was gonna choose that, but I didn't.
It said in the title Black Comedy Fantasy Film. So because it had comedy in there, it was getting on my list.
That definitely is a comedy. It's a very dark comedy, but it's very femme fatale and beautifully filmed.
Mint.
Yeah. I actually have some facts. I have a fact if you want to know my fact. So this film is often said by fans it is an extended episode of Tales from the Crypt. And it won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Robert Zemeckis also won an Oscar for the same visual effects on Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Forrest Gump.
Right.
There you go. They're my facts. They're my interesting facts.
Love it.
I remember seeing this when I was younger, and I don't think I got it originally, so I kind of then didn't quite sit with it. I think when I was older and watched it again, I realised how brilliant it is, and the performances are beautiful. Like say, Glenn Close and Goldie Hawn.
Glenn Close?
Not Glenn Close. Sorry, Meryl Streep. They're the same actors.
Very different. Very different. This is one of me and my sister have like, if I had to do a list on mine, like I pick a subject for a list, mine and my sister's favorite films, this would be one of them because we quote this all the time. We always saw ourselves as a Helen and a Madeline. But now, growing up, we're more. I said this to her the other day. I was like, I always see you as Madeline.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, really? Because I now see myself as what do you call it, Isabella Rossellini. Like, that's who I want to be. I want to be Isabella Rossellini. I don't want to be Madeline Ashton or Helen Sharp anymore.
I don't think in the film they didn't want to be the men at the end.
It's one of the, it's heavily done with practical effects. However, it is one of the films that first used the VFX technology that you see a lot in cinema today. And it's also a lot of trickery of the eye as well, especially with the hole in the stomach and how she sat down with it. But VFX was never had been used before. And I read when I was doing some research that Meryl Streep hated doing it, because it never. Now it's normal.
Yeah.
Working with green screen and working like the when she's walking backwards, that's all done on green screen. That it wasn't known at that point.
I'm just getting feelings in my neck. Kelly, who are you with the
It's when she falls down the stairs and she goes, and you hear it. It's like
it's
goes
the
right through you. But yeah, it was just so fascinating to read because you know me, I love practical effects, so I needed to know going into talking about it how much was done by practical effects, and it was a lot, quite a lot, like especially the neck bit.
Oh no, I remember watching the making of it a few years ago, and it showed Meryl Streep, like it was heavily prosthetics, like how they got it to look, and it was amazing they'd done it. But I still think as well, one of the standout performers in that, and he probably doesn't get the credit, is Bruce Willis, because he's really hilarious.
100% agree with you on that one. I'm going to be very bitterly angry with Hollywood if they redo this like they're talking about.
They can't redo it.
Yeah. There was Lady Gaga playing Isabella Rossellini's part, Anne Hathaway as one of the Helen or No, Hollywood. Get some new fucking ideas and stop stealing from the past and desecrating classics.
But that's the thing, I can understand certain films to remake, because like you do a sequel to Halloween, it makes sense because it's like just a continuity. But to fully remake a film that's not broken, for example, remake The Goonies doesn't make sense. Remake Back to the Future doesn't make sense.
Nope.
It's fair enough.
These ideas.
Makes you itchy, doesn't it? It makes you itchy. But this is it though. Hollywood's run out of ideas. A franchise I totally get, because it's already got 1, 2, 3. Do you know you can change it around, and how many times has Halloween been changed?
Yeah.
And rebooted and redone. This is a standalone on its own. It does not, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this film. The only thing that I picked up on, and now I can't not see it when I watch it now, is Helen's stomach. When she's got the hole in her stomach, right? You see it. You see all the way through it. It's when the shadows. When when Helen turns to the side, doesn't have a hole in her stomach anymore, and that bugs me, and I cannot not unsee it now. So if her shadow would have been, you would have seen the hole going through.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah. I cannot not unsee it. It's a tiny little detail.
Well, as you said, that's a perfect film. That ends in the right way as well. When they fall down the stairs, because it's done in such a hilarity, and it's like quite fitting for the characters and how they've been living as well. It's like a good comeuppance. It's a good ending, I think.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Being spray painted every few seconds. It's like, we need to go to the hardware stop.
It's the noise at the end as well, where when she's dangling off the stairs and she grabs it and she just goes, "Oh!" It's what me and Michaela do it all the time. It's one of the most go-to noises we have if we're like exaggerating. So we go, "Oh!"
That probably is one of my regrets as well. Now looking back on my list, I don't have a Goldie Hawn film on there.
You regretted this in the 80s as well when we did the 80s list. You regretted not doing a Goldie Hawn film then.
No, I think it was more to do with like some of the, because I'm still pissed that I've done 80s films and Tom Hanks and John Candy and shit wasn't even mentioned. So yeah, I'm still sore about them, but it's crazy. But yeah, when you think about, like, say, Goldie Hawn, like the films she's been in, like when you talk about comedies, like say staples like Private Benjamin, like Wildcats,
Overboard!
Overboard, which they fucking remade and it was terrible.
I just love that closet Overboard where he made the closet and the shoes and that closet man.
Is that the dream? You want the closet now, Kelly?
Yeah, I'm Adidas trainers and it just like all the funny trousers, great. Oh.
See, what you need to do is go on a boat, get over, and find a bloke who to make it for you. See?
Oh well.
If Kurt Russell's the one who's going to be pulling us out of the water, I'll be fine. I'll do it.
Beaut, absolute beaut. Oh.
Cool.
Yeah. Do you want to know the Rotten Tomatoes score before we move on?
That's got to be high. It's got to be 80s or 90s. Fuck off.
Nope. No. 53.
Shut up.
Nah, 53%. It is the only film that Meryl Streep has not been nominated for an Oscar for.
Wow.
I know!
That surprised me, that.
Yep, it was 53%. It did not do commercially well. It's done well as a cult classic.
Cool.
So there you go. That's my number 2 pick.
I think a lot of the new viewers have, because it's recently been on Netflix, hasn't it? So I think a lot of the younger people's actually starting to pick it up now. So possibly, but I'm surprised at the score.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's a good shout. Good pick there.
So that's my number 2. So we're going to go to Kelly for her number 3.
Right, another oldie. Well, I say oldie. 90s. Gotta love the 90s. This came out in 1999. Directed by a chap called Rodman Flender. And basically, the reason I picked this up, do you remember Music Zone?
Yes, in the town,
We're old, remember?
Cheap. And I was just like, and it looks good. And it had one of my crushes on the cover, Devon Sawa.
Devon Sawyer. Is this Sawyer?
Yeah. This is Idle Hands.
Oh, I actually had this on my horror list and took it off for something else. Yep, Idle Hands is on my horror list originally, and I took it off for something else. I love this film. This is such a good choice.
Fuck.
Yep,
it's just so funny.
If you think of a good cast as well, you don't realise who's in that film. It's absolutely amazing, the cast. And it wasn't even a big release, was it?
No. Did very well. I mean, you've got Seth Green in there, Jessica Alba.
Vivica Ray Fox.
Yeah. And it's absolutely mint. And I just remember watching it and being quite scared at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the because I hate, like, I don't know, I remember watching Gremlins as a child, and I remember getting really upset when she was attacked by the Christmas tree because I thought she was nice. And she didn't deserve it.
Didn't deserve being attacked by the Christmas tree, bless her.
But I have the mum and the dad who just really like to decorate everything for Halloween. I'm like, these are good, wholesome people.
Yes.
And they get killed.
These are my people.
Under the bed. I'm under the bed. And I just think it's hilarious that their son doesn't realise for like 7 days that they're dead.
Yeah, what a dick. Like, he's a real dick.
Being really stoned.
But the whole premise of the film, basically, because of him being such a lazy little twat, is the devil took over his hand.
Absolutely.
It has some corker of it, like, lines to quote as well. Some really good quotable lines. This was film definitely of its era.
Yeah.
Like, it was just at the right time. And it's like Mallrats. When you watch it, you feel at home. Like, you know these people. You possibly are these people. Like, you totally get it. It's a home film. I love this. This is such a good choice. I really like this.
It works on two fronts. It works as a horror film and it works as a comedy film as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because the thing is,
two for the price of one.
Yeah, I think in comedies, this jumped straight out because I rewatched it, of course, and I was just absolutely pissing myself laughing. My favourite bit, it's just really like downplayed, but I just think it's hilarious. It's when he gets scared and he pushes the dog.
The dog.
And the dog's like, it's so tiny. This
Yep.
like push dog. And then he's hugging the dog like, oh my God, it's you and me, dog. And I'm like, that's so funny.
Oh, the guy who keeps playing Motley Crue, the
Oh.
metal guy, he is the kid from Event Horizon who gets his skin turned inside out.
Right.
It breaks my heart whenever I see him on screen, because Event Horizon got me in a place that I have never been to before. Like, it wasn't just fear, it was past fear. Yeah, it really got to us. So whenever I see him on screen, I'm like, oh, I remember what happened.
Are you all right?
I still remember it, but I think the thing that stands out with me, and like when I think about Idle Hands, the scene that jumps out is the Offspring on stage, and when he's singing and the hand goes rips off his and you see his brains, you don't really expect it.
Good
as well.
fun.
But
Good fun.
so that was always the thing. But like I said, it's going to sound weird, but it did have strong Buffy the Vampire vibes as well. When you watch it, but not the film, but more the TV show.
Oh, see, I would have thought you meant the film. I get it's the end scene.
Yeah, like in the gym, but the whole Scooby Gang, the friends fighting the monsters of the week. It felt like a especially having Seth Green there as well, like a Buffy episode. But Seth Green again, he was brilliant in that film. Like I say, he was always with the sharp jokes and like say,
the face comes out of the wall, and he's not.
Yeah. Would have been walking around with a bottle on his head as well, like say, sticking out.
Oh, we've lost Kelly.
Oh, damn it! No, you haven't.
She's back.
There we are.
What the hell happened?
It's Idle Hands. It's taking over you.
The hands in the room. Taking over.
Wait, Jesus.
Oh, I am so happy you picked this.
Best bit, the knitting. You sit knitting. I'm like, you wholesome bugger. Sitting knitting. Good lad. Idle Hands. You know, get them unidle. And then you've got the cops. And what I love about the cops, one of them is Fool out of the People Under the Stairs.
Oh,
he is. I love that film.
Gonna get you.
I am so glad I've got someone else who loves it. People Under the Stairs is one of my go-tos. I love it.
Absolutely supreme. And God, cuff me. And they're like, drop the dead nails. And he's just, it's beautiful. And his two mates are sitting there going,
Or when he tries to cut his own hand off with the cheese grater and it just like bends and he's like.
And when it's microwave and they want to make burritos and they let the hand leak and the burritos and it's just like the burritos.
And they could eat it anyway.
It made me not want to eat. It made me not want to eat Mexican food for a very long time.
Oh, absolutely mint. Absolutely cracking.
That is a brilliant choice. I'm so happy that's actually getting a mention on here. It's scribbled out on my horror one because I picked something else over it because I thought I will be able to use this again. But I love that you picked that. That's great.
So are we happy to move on to the next pick then?
Yep, let's move on.
So this is my number 3. From
Kelly's moving around.
Yeah, I'm taking a charger, like, so I think that's why me like. Oh, there's one of my dogs.
Oh,
hi.
He's like, who's that? Who's that? So yeah, don't mind me. I'm just change of scenery, getting a charger.
Cool. So funny enough, mine's from 1988.
Right.
So it's an 80s film. So I'll start with the Rotten Tomatoes score because I don't think we'll get a higher score than this. Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, it's at 97%.
Oh, one of mine is one below at 96.
Right. So this is classed as a family comedy, and it stars probably one of my favourite actors, Tom Hanks, and it's big. And this film, it's everything for us. It makes us cry. It makes us like say like laugh like hysterically, and like say you fall in love with all the characters. You can relate to certain elements, and the idea of like say when you first watched this, you probably were around about the same age as Josh Baskin, as he was called in the film, and you like it's one of them things where you're not tall enough to be on the roller coaster. You're not cool enough.
Never had that issue. Being a tall person, never had that issue.
See, I'm only
Sorry.
5'9". I've always been a short ass, so that's always fine.
But see, I'm 5'9", but 5'9" for a girl is pretty tall. I am 70%, probably 80% leg. So I've never had the issue of being too big for a roller coaster. We've lost her again.
Oh, for God's sake.
She's back.
There we
She's
go.
back.
I think I'm good. I'm just trying to charge it off things in my room.
Paul, who directed this?
So the director, just kind of
It's
Penny Marshall.
Penny Marshall. Penny Marshall is from Hocus Pocus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the devil and his wife? That's Penny Marshall.
All right.
Shut up.
Yep. And I heard that the person who plays her husband is her brother.
Nice and wholesome.
Nice.
Yep.
But again, like say, as you said, as you're growing up, that whole like say mystic element of Zoltan, like say getting the card and then waking up and terrifying his poor mother and like thinking he'd been kidnapped, and how the police didn't search him out and find him was always a little bit surprising when I get older now. But for someone who has no qualifications and suddenly become expert in toys and having a job making toys and playing with toys, that was always like the thing I wanted to be as a kid, and thought I could do that, I want to do that. And again, like I said, just as a funny side of things, it was the first time I saw a woman in a bra. So at that age when so yeah, so it was like all about sexually awakening and stuff like that with being big. But
what is big? That's what you're gonna use as yeah. Oh my god!
The first time seeing a bra was like quite a revealing thing that you didn't see that at that age.
Oh my
especially in a
gosh!
kids film. But no, like say I think it's a really sweet film as well, because like say it's about friendship more than anything else, and how his mate like say looks after him and like realizes it. But to me, the best scene ever is the piano scene. And everyone who's seen it has always wanted to do it. If you walk into a toy shop and they've got there, I bet you every single one of them has tried to do the chopsticks on it.
Definitely. Even regardless if you're standing on it, when anyone hits a piano who can't play it, chopsticks is the first thing that they're going to do because it's so easy. Like everyone does it. That is a good choice, but the kid, his friend, was in nearly every 80s film.
Yeah.
And where's he gone? Where's he gone? He was so big, like no pun intended, but he was.
The thing is, though, it's always with the child actors, though. They're cute when they're at a certain age, and when they get so old, like say, you don't really see Haley Joel Osment anymore as well, do you really?
Yes,
he's weird looking now, like.
Kevin Smith casts him.
Yes, but Kevin Smith doesn't make good films anymore, but let's be honest.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. Have to agree to disagree because I love everything he does, even Tusk.
There's a bit big that breaks my heart, like, and it's just Tom Hanks just encapsulates, even though obviously being a very tall bloke, and it's his first night in the motel, and he hears all and the shouting, and he's curled up on his bed, and you just think, oh God, you just feel for him, like he doesn't, he's only a kid, and just that used to break my heart watching it.
But we've all been through that as well, because I know, like I said, when you first move out of home and you live in your house thing, but it's not that same experience where it's like as scary as that, but you do get that fear. So it's quite relatable with, like I say, it's quite, as I said, a coming of age like story. He does grow up a lot, and that breaks my heart as well, is when he realizes he wants to go back to his mom.
That's what I was just about to say. That's the heartbreaking bit. It's when he just goes to her, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Like,
oh God! Oh, it's so lovely. And then he's in his suit, and his little his suit. little.
And she realised she's been a pedophile and she's going, oh shit, I'm in trouble now.
I just realised I should run from here. She didn't do anything. She was good. Can we all remember the song though?
Shimmy, shimmy, bop, shimmy,
Bop,
shimmy,
shimmy, shimmy, bow. I made a
I know the moves, but not the song.
Ice cream soda with vanilla on the top. Ooh, shut
Sweet. I made it. I said it. I stole my
I
mama's
stole my
credit.
mama's credit. I'm cool. I'm hot. Suck me in the something one more time. Don't know the words.
Yeah, see, it's a film that when you talk about, you can't help but smile.
Yeah,
And I think that to me is always like the thing of a good film. And even if, like say, well, even a bad film, you can smile at. But this one, it's a genuine, like say, it makes you feel warm inside, I think.
Yeah,
It does.
Cool.
it's
It
lush.
does. It has its warm and fuzzy moments. It's a good choice.
So
Good
that's my
choice.
Love it.
Right. What number are we on?
Number
3.
You're on to number
4.
3 now, yes.
3.
Okay. So it again, I've got a theme going on. I've said it many times now, and this is just going to cement that even further. This is from 2004. It scored 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
It is part of a trilogy. It is part of the Cornetto trilogy. It is directed by Edgar Wright. It is Shaun of the Dead. And I watched it this afternoon, and that film is still
that is my
hands
favourite
down.
of the Cornetto trilogy as well.
Yeah.
Mine too. I love World's End. Ant loves Hot Fuzz, and we watched that this afternoon. All because we always just end a sentence with "they're great or good." It is one of the. It is not a parody film like some other horror comedies. It is a pure love letter to George A. Romero, to the point where he loved it so much he got them in Land of the Dead? He got a special viewing for him to because they were that bothered about it. I love this because I'm a huge Spaced fan. One of my favorite TV programs, and it reminds me so much of that universe, and especially like small little details like the video game. Sean plays Resident Evil. Not Sean, Tim plays Resident Evil in Spaced, and I love Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in regardless, but this really shows you the level of their friendship. Like I believe them two are like this off screen. Like that's how they are. I love that that Jessica Haynes, who is Daisy in Spaced, is, even though she's not in it majorly, she's still there. And I just remember we were watching the day, and Ant went, "Oh, Daisy saves the day," and the pair of us both looked at each other and goes, "Daisy Steiner wins." If you're a Spaced fan, you know what that means.
If you look at the cast of it though as well, it was who's of comedians who were on, like say, BBC or Channel 4 comedy around that time. Like say Reese from The League of Gentlemen was in it.
Oh, Reese Smith. Love that bloke.
He's literally like a walk-in part. He is the alternate version of their group. But you've got Dylan Moran, Bill Nighy, Kate Ashfield, Lucy Davis, who was fantastic in this. Like, I only ever knew her as Dawn Tinsley. And she was so quiet and meek in the office, and then she's like this little firecracker. Like she's just, I absolutely love her in Shaun of the Dead. But my favourite character, and he's not even in it, he's in it for 2 seconds, is Rafe Spall. Because anytime sometimes me and Ant answer the phone, we go, "All right, mate." Rafe Spall works in the shop, is Noel, and he literally just has that one line where he's going, "All right, mate." And that's how me and Ant answer the phone to each other. It's so good. I love him, but I love the fact that the people, not the characters, but the actors, the majority are in all three of the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman is in all three of them.
Yeah.
I love Martin Freeman. Now we were trying to work out, is Rafe Spall in World's End, and I don't think he is, but he is definitely in Shaun of the Dead, and he is definitely in Hot Fuzz because he plays one of the Andys.
Yeah.
Bill Nighy is in all three.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Moran, no, he was just in this one.
Yeah.
Lucy Davis and Kate Ashfield were just in this one. Jessica Haynes, I think, was just in this one as well.
No, I don't think she was in the others as well.
I don't think she was in the other ones, but I think we were thinking Shaun of the Dead is not very far off the End of Space. Like, it's not a big time gap, so maybe she had moved on at that point, because she's done loads since Spaced. Sorry if you can hear the ice cream van. What timing?
It's a very quotable film as well, Shaun of the Dead. Like, you got red on you.
Cock it.
Yeah.
And the best one, which gets used in my house a lot, can I get any of you a drink? I'm not going to say the C word. I've already been pulled up for the amount of times I swear, so I'm not going to say it. But yeah, that is one of my favorites. And it's Edgar Wright at Edgar Wright's best. Like, we've watched Ant-Man, watch Shaun of the Dead, and you can see where Edgar Wright's influence in Ant-Man takes place, because it is very much spaced in Shaun of the Dead. Like, it's that his universe mixed into his script that they did use in Ant-Man. It's just fantastic. Shaun of the Dead is it's timeless. Like, I don't think there'll never not be a time where that it wouldn't be good.
No.
Like, it's not. And I love the fact that they use Tyres. If you're a Spaced fan, Tyres is one of the best characters. The funniest episode they did was the nightclub one, when you get introduced to Tyres. He's a zombie in it, dressed in his cycling gear, because that's what he did for a living. And all the zombies that are in that bit there, like, I'm pointing to the outside of the pub, are all twins.
I think I've seen this.
They used a lot of twins because it was easier to shoot as they were coming round, so it was continuity.
Yeah.
So clever.
It was always well done. Like, as again, we've worked out your theme that yours is horror comedies now. So
yes.
The penny has dropped.
No, but
it's because I had to be realistic in the picks that I choose. Like, I don't want to put me sad films on there, because me sad films are comedies, but me sad films for a reason, and I don't watch them when I'm in the greatest headspace. Like, Little Miss Sunshine, I'll tell you my list. It goes Little Miss Sunshine, Grown Ups. I fucking love Grown Ups. I think it's absolutely, it honestly brings a smile to my face every time I watch it. Just go with it. And What Do I Expect When Expecting? They are me sad films. I will watch them if I'm in a really bad.
So we're not going to do a sad film list then.
Let's not do a sad film list, because I've just spoiled it. But I had to go with what I watch. I watch horror. I watch horror comedies, and that's my theme, horror comedy.
No, that's fine. You go with what. That's why I always say, when we do the lists on the Facebook group, people always say, "Oh, why can't you just pick 10? Why can't you just?" Because it's harder to do it, but harder to break it down this way. And but it's not just picking it's easy to pick 5 films that you like, but then talk about them. That's the hard thing. That's why
you've got to be able to hold a conversation with them.
Yeah. I always struggle with the ones that have memories and the one I can tell a story about, and the ones that I like say mean the most. So it comes across a bit better as well, I think. But yes,
I had an amazing Shaun of the Dead bust. He stood about this tall. He was no different than me Uma. And me Uma's just here. No, like, side.
Hello, Uma.
Beatrice used to sit on top of me chest of drawers in my old house, and Beatrice used to jump up on it, and she one day knocked him over, and now he's in half.
Oh dear.
And I can't fix him. I'm devastated. Absolutely devastated.
I think I've just recently picked up Shaun of the Dead on 4K as well.
We watched it this afternoon, and it's still like I still found myself laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Like there's
It
not a
doesn't
lot of
age.
films. No,
It doesn't
there's not.
age, and
There's not
the
a lot of
fact that
films that can still make your belly laugh.
Me and Adam, my husband, we watched it. It was on TV just randomly, and we're like flicking around, and I was just like, this film, it could be on TV. You could just pick it up from anywhere, and it's just absolutely everyone gets a laugh out of it. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just, I mean, using Don't Stop Me Now in the bloody pub, beating the shit out of zombies, just choreographed. It's just like lush, and it's sad. It's really sad as well when people. It's got everything going for it, but I just love it. You've got red on you, because that happens to me quite a lot. Like when I'm eating pasta, and Dad was like, "You've got red on you," and I'm like, "Oh, and it's like, oh, it's just so lush. It's a beautiful, hilarious film.
It's part of a trilogy, but it's not like a sequel trilogy. But again, it's a film. A lot of these films that I don't want to see a sequel to. I wouldn't like to see it shown too, just because I like the way it ends with him and Nick sitting in the little shed playing the games.
Yeah.
You think they're going all together.
I think my favorite aspect of it is just a love letter to zombie films. Like it's just there's so much compassion. They don't push it. Like Club Dread is terrible in comparison, because they literally are just taking the piss out of the genre. This is not. It's paying homage.
Did you hear what the rumor was for not the second one? Because before they were going to do Hot Fuzz, they were going to do a different type of film.
Yeah.
It was going to be this take out of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Really? It was a vampire film.
Vampire, they were going to do their version of From Dusk Till Dawn.
The Cornetto trilogy. Well, the Cornetto trilogy didn't come, like, they didn't sit down and say, this is it. It's 3 films. It literally developed because of the fact that when he goes, do you want anything from the shop? Cornetto. It's not even a red cornetto, like that's, and it just becomes like it was just a joke that kind of spanned into something that was nothing, and then they did the Cornetto trilogy off the back of it.
But then like elements in it, like jumping over the fence and so on, like all them elements were brought in. But that was a good shout, good pick.
I really, really like it. It's a funny film, and to be honest, I remember the last when we watched it, we put it on at me in-laws once, and me middle nephew, who I honestly thought the kid had no fear in him, asked to turn it off, and we were like, he was going, no, I don't want to watch that. And it wasn't until later on, like we mocked him for it, and it wasn't until later on I realized it's so real. Like this is not Americanized. This is our home. These houses look like ours. Them shops look like ours, and it was too real for him.
Too close to home. Yeah, definitely.
So I thoroughly enjoyed. So my number 3 pick is Shaun of the Dead. There you go.
Moving on to Kelly's number 4 now.
Right, this is my questionable one. This is the one where I was like, but the thing is, I remember watching it as a child with my brother, to be honest. As I say, he's a fan of like comedy films and whatnot. And it's an oldie. Got one of my favourite actors in it. It's from 1979, directed by Carl Reiner. And it's a rags to riches and back to rags again. The Jerk.
Yeah, Steve Martin.
Oh my God, Carl Reiner, right?
Steve Martin. Love that guy.
Probably seen it, but a very long time ago.
I've got a child knocking at my door. Hello, darling. I'll speak to you later.
No.
He's asking us where Colin is. I don't know where Colin is. Anyway.
Oh, bless. No, it's just fine.
But absolutely, I love Steve Martin, and I just remember when I was a kid thinking this was absolutely hilarious. And I haven't watched it for years. And I said to Adam, I was like, tell you what, let's watch a couple of films as a revisit. He was like, I no bother, as long as it's not getting in the way of any decent footy. So we watched Joe, and he went, Kelly. And I was like, what? And he went, I don't know if you can talk about this on a podcast, like. And I went, what do you mean? And then I realised, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, there is a heightened racial, like, sensitivity going on there. And
it's
he was
very much of the time, though. It's like a lot of the
yes.
films, like the 80s films and the 70s films, when you watch now, I think when we were talking about, like say one of Sam's picks the other week was Trading Places. Again, that has elements which now seems quite...
You couldn't get it, you could not get away with it.
It's touchy, but at the time, again... It was a very different period for a lot of people, so I don't think
it's no different. It's no different than television, though. Look at Only Fools and Horses. Go back and look at the earlier episodes. You just couldn't get away with it then. But you've got to appreciate the time of where it's set. You have to. We can't. It's not a case of saying that we agree with this or we're okay with this, but this is how it was. Things are very different now and very much censored now.
But still a very good film. I still laugh at
it. It's just bloody hilarious, and I say he was actually interviewed in 2015, Steve Martin, about it, and he said, when I can see why people would assume that, but when everyone was treated very well there, and even when he is living with his adoptive black family, he was found on a doorstep, and just believing he was like just part of their culture and their life, and he had no rhythm, which I just think is hilarious. He can't dance, and he tries, and he finds some music that's in St. Louis.
Yes, so I relate so much with that.
It's just, but they're just loving to pieces, you know what I mean? It's absolutely lush, and I love the kind of, when he goes out, you know, to find his own way and stuff, and he's like hitchhiking, it's like, where you going? I'm going to the end of this fence. And just takes him to the end of the road. It's like, I'll go to the end of the fence. But he just like stays in touch with his family, and he sends them money, and it's just, I think it's actually quite a wholesome relationship he has with his family and stuff, and the fact that he is ignorant of his own whiteness and has to like kind of, you know, like find his own way.
It's a bit of innocence to it as well, though. That's
it is.
Yeah. So, but I'm imagining it now, and I'm still chuckling away because, like as you said, you can't help but think, because when we watched it, we were like say, going back, like say in the late 80s, when things like that was in commonplace, it was allowed. It wasn't saying, it wasn't as taboo, shall we say, just because, not because we didn't appreciate it, was more that we weren't educated.
It's ignorance. It's definitely ignorance. I used to teach back in the day, I used to teach English language to college students, and we used to look at the sliding scale of acceptability of words over time, and it's the origins of words and how words have picked up negative connotations and why they have picked. So it can be a very sort of nondescript word, but depending on how the person uses the word, obviously, you know what I mean. So, which is like very interesting. But
up to a subject now, because I know someone mentioned it before on the group. Would you say, just because I'm very much against getting rid of our history or getting rid of
censorship,
censorship for the films? I don't mind a disclaimer. I put a disclaimer on before saying this is not of the time. This has changed since views, but don't cut like the elements out, because I know. Remember, like say there was going to like out of Dumbo, they were going to take elements out of Dumbo. That they don't agree with, but I can understand why. But I'm more in favour of saying this. Put a disclaimer before the film and say, right, these were the times. This is not what's there. I'm happy with that.
Definitely.
I totally get it. I understand the disclaimer, and if that's what it takes for people to understand that that was a film of its time. But what is wrong with looking at the year it was made?
Yeah.
And have that as the
disclaimer. I mean, exactly, that is the disclaimer. Look at the year it was made. There needs to. I remember when Friends got ripped to pieces over, because all the like kids now were watching Friends and ripping it to pieces because there is some very problematic things in Friends, but that is how comedy was at the time. That is how things were said at the time, and how, do you know what I mean? You can't rip it. You can't take something to pieces over they can't correct it. You can't change it. You learn from it. It's the same with history. You learn from history. and don't repeat it. Oh, it gets me annoyed. And my tone totally changed there. This is a comedy podcast now.
No, it's a good talking point though. So I quite like it though, because it's controversial, but also
definitely
interesting. So it brings up that type of conversation, which you need to have. So
it annoyed me that they put a disclaimer up against Gone with the Wind.
Oh,
come on. Like, what? Did you really need a disclaimer over Gone with the Wind?
I'm gonna upset you as well. There's one on for Peter Pan.
Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding us. That's one of my favourite Disney films, that.
The Native American.
Americans,
Tiger Lily, yep.
Oh, Anyway, let's talk about the funny stuff.
Let's get back to the comedy.
The dog is called Shithead. I mean,
excellent.
It's like the motel's on fire. The dog's gone round barking, and Steve Martin's barking with the dog. I mean, fire's like, you don't want to call that dog Lifesaver. You want to call him Shithead. So he calls him Shithead, which is just mint. Things that really stick out with it. It's just because, do you know what, Steve Martin? He's just, I used to have a childhood crush on him. He's just got one of those rubber, malleable faces, and he's just so hilarious. I loved him in Father the Bride. I just adore him. But it's just, I absolutely think it's amazing when he gets his name in the phone book, and he's like, look at me, I'm somebody, I'm in the phone book. And then some absolute maniac picks his name out the phone book and says, right, this is the random victim bastard I'm going to shoot. And then goes to shoot him down because his name was in the phone book.
Oh my God.
I tell you what I always thought was strange about Steve Martin, which, again, it's like the Paul Rudd type thing. He got to a certain age and he looks exactly the same throughout, from the 70s to now. He looks exactly the same.
Changed.
He just never ages.
I have never seen a Steve Martin performance where he has not cracked me up hilariously, like belly. But there is one moment in time where he made me sob. Have you ever watched him having to announce to Saturday Night Live that Gilda Radner had died?
No.
It is heartbreaking. She was a huge comedy on Saturday Night Live, married to Gene Wilder.
Yes,
there was an amazing documentary about her life. But he was the one who had to come out on Saturday Night Live and announce to the world that she'd passed away. And it breaks you as a person, because he is the funny guy. Like, he says more and you piss your pants laughing, and then you had to bring it to the world, and it's so sad. It's just heartbreaking. But there you go. I always have to bring the mood down, don't I? I've just noticed that. I always bring it down to like some.
So I'll try and bring it back up, because I'm so over the moon that Steve Martin's on one of our lists, because that's one of the things I was looking at as well when I was picking me things, is picking actors who I wanted to talk about as well. And Steve Martin was on my list, but I did remove it for one of my picks. It was Mallrat took out my pick for The Man with Two Brains.
Ah, yes!
So that one would have been in my top 5, but Mallrat just took it out. But because I really wanted to talk about Steve Martin, because as you said, the films he's been in throughout like the 80s and even like the 90s at times, like if you talk about like Father the Bride,
I love it.
People by the Dozen, House Sitter, like I said, Planes, Trains and fucking Automobiles. Absolutely. And he always plays like kind of like the same character, but he does slay in a way where he's believable and genuine, and he's quite lovable as well. And again, it's a weird thing to say, but you can't help it. I don't think he's been in a film that you think he's a dick or you don't like him.
No,
it's just the funniest thing about the jerk, like Opti-Grab, when he creates the little handle to help when he works at the gas station, and he makes everyone cock-eyed, and he becomes this like like inventor, entrepreneur with this huge mansion and stuff, and he has to give like $1.60 to every person he's ruined the eyesight of. And it's actually Carl Reiner, the director, is the guy who says, and because of my eyesight, someone died in this stunt. It's just like, so he has to give all this money back, but there's just this bit at the end, and it's quite sad. But it reminds me a little bit of Labyrinth. Like, do you remember the little troll that just has all the stuff on it?
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, you want this? Oh. And he's like, all I need is this ashtray. This is all I need. This paddle game. This remote control is all I need. He's just carrying all his shit. It's just like, it just sums it up. Like, it's just like, I'm not upset about the money, but I'm upset about the stuff. Like, I like the stuff.
Well, we actually lost Carl Reiner last year.
Yeah.
In June 29th, 2020, and he was best friends with Mel Brooks. And I always remember, because I'm a huge fan of Max Brooks, who wrote The Zombie Survival Guide in World War Z, didn't he? Yes he did. And I was listening to him on a podcast, and he used to talk about how his dad and Carl Reiner used to sit and play chess till 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was just these lovely little stories about how their friendship was just, it was their lives. Like, Carl would come for dinner and they would just end up sitting playing chess to God knows what time, to the point where Max had to like come to the house to take him home, and it was so lovely. I didn't realize that it was Rob Reiner's brother. I don't know why that did not cross my mind that it wasn't Rob. They have the same surname. But yeah, that was a good choice. Are we going to move on?
Yeah. Cool. So my next pick, again, surprise, surprise, is from 1988. Yeah, 80s were the best films, the funniest films. And again, two actors in this absolutely were all my top favourite actors. One of them is Dan Aykroyd, and the other one is John Candy.
I know what this is.
So it was The Great Outdoors.
Yes, I love this film. I haven't picked it, but I do love this film.
Now,
I haven't seen it for years.
No, I remember watching this with my dad on a Saturday or Sunday morning. Like, say, just it'd be one of them films that you would put on, and you would just like sit back and just watch as a kid. And there was so many elements that you just couldn't stop laughing. Like John Candy, like in anything, is absolutely hilarious. He does Downtrodden Dad so well. But the whole premise of the film is basically they go away, they need a break from normal life, so they go get this cabin in the middle of the woods, and they're quite like a wholesome family, and like I said, just like a normal, like I say, with the two sons. And Dan Aykroyd shows up uninvited with his wife, who is actually, I didn't realise was Annette Bening.
Yep.
And they basically do everything they can. Like, he's like pretends to be this more successful part of the family when really he's like, say, doing shit. But it just reminds us of like all bad holidays that you could have, and like the elements in it so funny. Like when John Candy goes to the steak restaurant and he enters the steak eating competition, and they put that big slab of meat down, and you see him going eating it, then you think he's finished, and they go, nope, you've got to eat the gristle, and you see him nearly passing out, because it just makes you like entertained but also sick at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I remember as well crying with laughter when the bear shows up, and the bear's got a bald spot across its head after the previous thing, because he thinks it's just someone in an outfit, and it's really a bear.
It's definitely a bear. These two are from the Second City television. Second City is a Canada version of Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. So all of you up and coming Canada stars starred in Second City. But it is, if you can watch them, watch their clips of Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy. There's loads of them, Canadian actors, and it is fucking hilarious. It is much funnier than Saturday Night Live. Like, Rick Moranis and Martin Short.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
Martin Short, man.
Yeah, these guys and these guys are hilarious, and that's why they work so well together in this film, is because it's not their first rodeo. They've done this 100 times before, and the chemistry is just there.
Yeah, and
It's
when you talk
so
about
good.
chemistry, like just instant screen presence, like being together,
Mhm.
it's just fun. Like as I said, it's pure fun film, and it reminds us of my childhood. Like say with so many
Yeah.
other films from the 80s, I remember watching it and feeling like smiling and laughing. Again, I'll probably not watch this in a while, but
Oh,
I
I
can
watched
talk
it
about it,
a
I
while
can
ago.
think about it, I can remember elements so well, like vividly as well, just
Yeah,
The
because
raccoons,
it
man.
stands out. Like say the whole, because with the 80s comedy film, there's always like the heartbreak or the coming at the end where Dan Aykroyd really lets him know that he's ripping him off and he believes in family and the family become together and it's like all wholesome and stuff. But to get there, they go through all the trials and tribulations. And even like seeing John Candy doing like the water skiing as well, it's so much practical and like say like slapstick comedy that's done so well that you don't really see these days. Because like say I know unfortunately we did lose John Candy at an early age, but
Oh,
when you think of the
tragic.
films he was in during that time, I know like say similar type of films, Summer Vacation, Cool Runnings,
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
Nearly had that on my list.
and
Love that.
Uncle Buck, man.
even Home Alone. He was in Home Alone. So
Home Alone. Yep, he is the original Lewis Tully.
Yeah.
I know we would never get to see that incarnation of him, but he was the original Lewis Tully. And the only reason he had creative differences, he saw Lewis in a completely different way. He wanted to play in German. He wanted him to have two schnauzers and be. I personally, I would have thought that I would have liked to seen that. I really would. I love Mick Moranis. Who doesn't? But
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that version of Lewis Tully. I think it would have been hilarious. I will never forget the day I found out John Candy died. We were in Gateshead, we were in an MOT centre, and we were waiting for my mum's car to come out and to come on the radio that John Candy had passed away, and I sat there with a little tear in my eye. I was so sad. It's always stuck with us. I always know where I was.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And another film to talk about with John Candy, just talking about the previous one that like Kelly mentioned, Planes, Trains and Automobiles, absolutely fantastic. I think that's the film you do actually fall in love with John Candy.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
You've never seen it?
Never seen it.
Put it on your list.
Look at Kelly's face.
We've all got lists.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I'm just glad I'm like, at least I said, the thing I've seen.
Bless you. Well, yes. So one of my favorites, I remember like hunting down, funny enough, in the shop like I mentioned, Music Zone, trying to find
Yay for Music Zone.
Trying to find it on DVD because it was when DVDs were coming out and I didn't watch it on VHS anymore and I wanted to watch it again. So that was always the hunt to find that film. So yeah, that's my pick. That was number 4.
Awesome. So mine, I'm going to do, because I want to talk about that one last, so I'm going to do this one next. So as we all know, it's now, it's no secret, it is a horror comedy theme. This one is a parody film. It tickles my funny bone every time I watch it. It is from 2002. It scored 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, directed by Keenan Ivory Wayans. It is Scary Movie. And I'll fight anyone who says this film is not funny. It is hilarious. It has some of the most quotable lines in there. It takes the piss out of, not take the piss, sorry, it parodies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 films. 10 films in its 1 hour something runtime. Come on. And the fact that it parodied Amistad, like, and got away with it, that was the best part. I absolutely love this film. I love the second one because of Chris Elliott. He is hilarious with his little hand, and that is just so funny. But this is the starting point. It's my strong hand. It's the fight between them two where he's like, I'm going to be the bigger man and walk away. Walk away. I love it. It has a great cast in it. You've got Anna Faris, Regina Hall, John Abrahams, Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, Dave Sheridan, and Shannon Elizabeth. It is fantastic. And again, I will fight anyone. I'll probably lose.
I still remember seeing this at the pictures. I'll admit, I liked it originally. I've watched it not too long ago, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's aged well. I don't think.
No, these films don't. These films don't.
None of us age well.
Exactly, that's the point. Like, the slasher genre in the 90s was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. We hadn't seen anything like it since the 70s.
Oh, 100%. But I think, you know what spoiled it for us, though, being completely honest? The Budweiser advert. That kind of, watching it now, it is cringeworthy, but
it's cringy. But at the time, it would have made complete sense. It was completely relevant. That was it's in The Office. That is actually used in The Office as well. They do the what's up. I love the parodies that they do. This is the best one. Yeah. So the parodies is I Know What You Did Last Summer, obvious, and Scream 1 and Scream 2 are in there. The Matrix, because they do the gun thingy. Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
The
ending when Doofy is revealed to be the killer.
Yeah.
American Pie.
Amistad.
Yeah. Titanic. The Blair Witch Project and The Shining.
Because he shags the Blair Witch, doesn't he?
It's the bit with the Gail Weatherstone as well, where she's doing the camera scene in 2.
I remember when I watched it. I remember it when I was in like high school, and I was the only one who didn't like or get American Pie, and that was almost my social undoing. I just saw it as really kind of. It wasn't. I didn't find it funny. I just found it awkward.
Yeah, too on the like, type thing.
Yeah, like, do you know what? I'm not a prude, but I am.
Yeah, this will reach a new level of awkwardness, because I totally get where you're coming from. But
yeah, I just kind of go
take how awkward you feel and put that against. It's one of your dad's favorite films. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
I think, as you mean, as a parody film, like, because at the time there was so many different parodies that came out. That one scary movie was probably one of the better ones.
But it wasn't though. I looked at that. This was the starting point of parody films. So this is why I chose Scary Movie as the top one, because they all stem from here.
Yeah, because it was like not a teen movie and stuff like that, wasn't it?
And
yes, not another teen movie. Yeah, I remember that.
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood, which again is a Keenan Ivory Wayans film.
Yes,
he was the I don't want to say originator. It's not but he was the forefront of parody films, and this one was done with a lot more tact and taste than maybe 3 onwards, because 2 is hilarious.
I found that funnier than the first. I love, as you say, my strong hand. He's doing the mashed potatoes and stuff.
That was more taking the piss out of the Haunted Mansion, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep. I had to pick this one because it was the first of its name. It it takes its name from the original. Now this isn't what Scream was going to be called, but it's what Scream's written name was. So if you referred to Scream in the industry, you were referring to Scary. It was called Scary Movie.
I remember because that was one of the quizzes I did the other week, because one of the answers, because I looked it up, on the script it was Scary Movie.
But it's not. It was never going to be called Scary Movie. It's just within the industry they have code words or code names to stop people from getting the actual titles of them. And Scary Movie was its title.
That's really damn clever. And then use that obviously for the parody. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. And apparently, and I'm going to have to rewatch it to look at this, but there is clues, not just foreshadowing, but actual genuinely written on the wall clues that Doofy was the killer from the very beginning. There's actually a scene where they're walking through a street and it says Doofy is a killer. It tells you And I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this. This is what I was reading today, that there is foreshadowing, which you see because you see it at the end. It's played out throughout, but also visually written on a wall, Doofy is a killer. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the actor who plays him, who was Dave Sheridan, I think he's going to be it for the Love of Horror. I might be wrong.
That's sold out now, though.
I'm going. I don't care. I got my ticket. I'm going for the Saturday.
Yeah, you're going to get a GoPro. I'm just going to stick a GoPro on you and you can film for the podcast.
I'm going to Scotland. I'm going to the Comic-Con in Scotland the weekend before, and then I'm going to For the Love of Horror. My October is incredibly busy. Can't wait. So yes, that is my pick, is Scary Movie.
Cool. So Kelly,
Right,
we're going to your last pick. So this is the pressure one now, Kelly.
We always save our ones we love. I think we do anyway. I do. I save the one I love to the very end.
Yeah, so. This, as I say, I did a lot of pondering and rewrites of lists and stuff, and this is something that I made my husband watch that he'd never seen before, and I've never seen him laugh so much at a film ever. And this is one that's really close to my heart. I don't know how I ended up watching it, but I did, and it became one of my favourite films. It was released in 1999. It's a biographical comedy by Milos Forman, Man on the Moon, about Andy Kaufman from Saturday Night Live.
I have never seen it, but it's only because I'm not an Andy Kaufman fan. That comedy is not my comedy, but I do love biofilms, so I don't understand why I haven't watched it. That is on my list. I'll be putting that on my list to watch.
Oh, it's absolutely fabulous. Because the thing is, I remember when I was a kid seeing Taxi, and you had the foreign man. Thank you very much.
Latka.
And that's who I knew him as, Latka. And as I say, I think we just got it on video. I think it was video that we bought it on, and just because it was just like, oh, Jim Carrey, we like Jim Carrey, and we didn't get like. I dare say, I don't like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber or anything like that, because I just
I'm not the biggest
like
Jim Carrey fan, to be honest. Like, I don't find his humour. The only thing I like him in is Liar Liar. That's the only genuine film I can tolerate him in.
But
I actually love Dumb and Dumber. It's one of my main sister used to watch it all the time. It's the Mockingbird bit. We just sing that all the time. But I love Jim Carrey when he's not playing what you expect him to play. So I do love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I do love Number 27. And I know I will like this, but I know what it took for him to do this. And
there's a documentary.
Yeah,
there's a documentary currently on Netflix.
Yeah, I watched the documentary, and even though I enjoyed the film, when I watched the documentary, and I'll probably just get wrong, not to say it, I watched it and I thought, Jim Carrey, what a bell end. I know it sounds bad, because he put himself in the role, and he didn't come out of that role anything. Nick just listened to a podcast with Martin Freeman and Ed Gamble, and they were talking about like films and stuff, and they asked him about what he thought of Jim Carrey and doing The Man on the Moon. I don't know why they got into the subject, and he went, arsehole. He went, why? He went, fair enough, we get paid to be actors. We do a role, we come out with that role, and we can be ourselves. He puts the director, the other members of that crew, his own family through shit for 6 to 9 months of filming that didn't need to be done. He said, I'm all for getting in the part and failing that you're being the part, but don't be a dick about it. And he says, fair enough, I've got respect for Jim Carrey for what he's done, but for what he did there, I think he's an arsehole.
Daniel Day-Lewis did, but he didn't. I totally get what they're saying. I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest on Friday because I've just finished Hatchet, and I thought, oh, best watch the film where it comes from. So I watched that. But as always, as soon as the film finishes, I'm on IMDb. I'm looking at all the facts, and there was one bit about Danny DeVito because he really wanted to get the right. He was playing a crazy, and he wanted to get in the right frame of mind for it. And he went to go and see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said, it's fine to do what you're doing. You know, get into what these mindsets are, but remember, you are not that person. And as long as you can tell the difference between you and your character, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Jim Carrey's not.
Yep.
I must say, I think it works for him in the film.
The film was good. Like, I remember seeing it at the pictures, but there's some laugh out loud moments. And as you said, the whole, like, say when he's portraying Lackford in the comedy, and the whole bits where Jerry the King Lawler when they do the wrestling.
See, I think it's fab that you've got this sort of like journey of this person who never calls himself a comedian. He calls himself a song and dance man.
Yeah.
He hates it when people call him a comedian. He's not a comedian. And he creates this like anti-humor where the gag is not for the benefit of the audience. It's on them.
Yeah.
So I love that Jerry Lawler thing where he basically proclaims himself intergender wrestling champ. And he basically picks on someone smaller than him, women, and just like, so, I mean, feminist mentality, I was like, but not only does he pick on women, he picks on the South.
Yeah.
And like rednecks. And then he picks on Jerry Lawler. So it's just like, and people are like, what is this guy doing? But it turns out it's all a gag. It's all a thing.
Did you hear about what happened while they were filming though?
Which part? Because I was just about to say, I'm a huge wrestling fan and listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts. Jerry Lawler is said on record that was all sketched out. It was all sketched out between the two of them. But what happened with Jim Carrey when they reenacted it, he didn't get it, and that's what he said. He didn't understand where it was coming from, and he pushed it too far.
Yeah.
And he does not like Jim Carrey for that, because he doesn't believe he understands them at all.
Because even in rehearsals, he kept on spitting in his face.
Yep. And he says that's not what the joke was about.
No.
Lawler hates him for it, but loves Kaufman. Like
Kaufman,
he said one of the highlights of his career is doing that with him.
Working with him, even though it was the undoing of Andy Kaufman's career, he was voted off Saturday Night Live because of it, and he really just lost his appeal. Because I remember when I was watching it, and it's just because it's just this bizarre. It's not really. It's a bizarre kind of humor. It's almost like humorless humor, and it's more of him just like, I don't know, just. There's a bit where he gets really pissed off where he's saying, everyone's like, do like her, and the show is like, I don't want to be known for the guy out of Taxi. And so he decides to read The Great Gatsby to them.
Yeah, I remember,
And I'm like, what a fucking dude. Great Gatsby, great American classic. Don't know why you're saying it in English accent, but that's mint.
I think I'm going to watch the documentary tonight. Because it's always something like, I don't find him funny, but maybe I'm not meant to. Like,
no, it's all for him. Definitely all for him. I've read books about Andy Kaufman. Because the thing is, I've watched like the Andy Kaufman special, and I watch it, and it just makes me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Because it's not humor, it's just him like, I'm just doing what I want. I'm talking to a puppet.
I bet you watched Taxi on the Paramount channel, didn't you? And you used to have soap and stuff and wings.
There's something that really touches us about this, because as I say, when I watch it, I'm pissing myself laughing. And I do think Jim Carrey does actually, I mean, because he became the character, it's very, very, you can see him in it. Like, it's weird how he becomes him. But there's this bit at the end, where Andy Kaufman obviously dies from lung cancer, and they think it's a gag, it's an idea for a joke. Oh, that's great, you can get ill. You can come back to life after you're dead. And he's like, no, I've got lung cancer. And he goes to the Philippines because he was into transcendental meditation. He gets kicked out of his retreat and stuff like that because he's saying, like, the way you're acting, we don't want you to be part of us. The meditation's not working. So he just gets shunned from everything that he holds dear. He goes to the Philippines for like some psychic surgery, and you see him and he's looking, and the man like goes into a basin of water and just gets like a part of an intestine or something.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's going in, and it breaks me heart when he starts laughing, because he's just like, he's a hoaxer, just like me.
Yeah.
It's just, it really gets us there. He's got this faith, like when the audience has faith in him, and he's just double crossed them, and like he's been double crossed there.
Yeah.
But I just find it like,
God, I'm just like, I'm getting chills as you were talking, and my eyes are like
But it's
filling
the music
up.
as well, because that's the bit then it kicks in,
Wow.
Man on the Moon comes on as well at the end.
REM, like obviously the Made Man on the Moon, and then the
Is this on the documentary?
No, the film. This is the film.
Oh, the
film, yeah.
Right.
But
is it worth watching the documentary without watching the film?
You probably
Kind of.
you won't get this an impact.
Yes.
You just see it's more the performance with Jim Carrey to see is what's doing, but the film is brilliant. The film.
It's beautiful. It's you've got Courtney Love there as the love interest, which is a bit weird. But it's a little bit sort of like. I like
this
it.
This is when she was clean, wasn't it? This is where she came into,
yeah.
No, she did have a brief moment when she was seeing Edward Norton.
Yes,
and she was very clean, like almost unrecognizably clean. So I think that was when she did Man on the Moon, because she got her life together, and then it just went tits up again.
Yeah,
it just Courtney loved it.
Yeah. What's really good is was that there's the guy who used to work alongside Andy Kaufman, Bob Zamuda. He actually features in the film. He was his creative co-conspirator.
Yeah.
And he actually features in the film, and at the end it's just absolutely lush. You've got the characters that he's created, like Tony Clifton, an arsehole Las Vegas singer who kind of fucking sing.
And it's just I really think I want to watch it. You've sold us.
There's a bit where he's just like, "You want to see Andy Kaufman? Has anyone got shovels?" Because he's dead.
Yeah, it's strange because, as you said, it is a comedy, but it's not a comfortable comedy. Comedy. I wouldn't say I enjoyed watching it. I think at the end you think, "Oh, I've watched it," but you do laugh through it. You kind of at the end you're going, "Oh, it's not." But it's like any type of Andy Kaufman performance. So
yeah. I think what I like about it is because I don't really. I mean, stuff like, we just said there's Scary Movie. I found it really difficult to find the humour in it. In American, like, you know, your staple comedies. I've always been sitting there going, hey, what's wrong with me? I don't understand this. This is not making me laugh. Yeah. Whereas I think with this, I think it has kind of like appealed to my sensibility of like my humour's a bit like fucking I still don't know what my humour like really is. There's certain things that make us laugh, and I'm like, there we go. But with him, like, it's just so
surreal
out there. It's just like, are you mad? That's great.
It's basically putting something out there that no one's seen before or heard, and it's like, it's like,
why the fuck not?
It's like calling someone a twat just to see what reaction you get and push it. So that was always like the thing. But again, when you said Bob Zamuda, when you watch the documentary, he is a big part of the documentary, and you can see him with Jim Carrey pushing him to go further. Every time Jim Carrey slightly goes back to Jim Carrey, he kicks off with him. He has like proper fights with him. But I would never have thought of it as a comedy to pick, but it's an amazing pick. So well done, class.
If you ever want to have to see Jim Carrey redeem himself in any way, watch the roundtable discussion with him, Sacha Baron Cohen. It's some of the Don Cheadle, some of the greatest men in comedy sit together at a round table for an hour and a bit and talk. And Jim Carrey is probably the most sincerest he has ever been in his life. He's brutally honest.
When he does interviews and stuff, he did, like, I know he's had his past and his demons. Like I say, he done one with Jerry Seinfeld recently, where comedians in cars drinking coffee in cars and thing. He was quite good on that. But I think after the Man on the Moon, he didn't make a film for quite a while after that film. So I think it might took something out of him. But again, with any type of actor, like I said, that no one's going to be squeaky clean, and he's probably been through the mill. But yeah, he's always been an interesting one. But to me, I'll never forgive him for ruining my favourite book. He ruined Yes Man, so I'll always hate him.
Oh, that's pure gash. That like I remember.
But the book is amazing.
I'm not a fan of this shit.
But the book is amazing. The book by Danny Wallace. If you're going to read it, if you need cheering up, if you want a feel-good book, read that book because it's a true story. He actually did do what he says in the book for 6 months of his life, where he said yes to everything.
Jesus.
And he went on so adventure. I thought if they were going to make the film, they should have made it like a British colony, get Simon Pegg in, do it quite silly.
If only.
But just sorry to go off totally, but like this book, there's a chapter in it where he goes to a nightclub because his friends invite him out and he has to say yes. And this girl's talking to him at the bar and this bloke walks up to him and goes, "Are you talking to my lass?" He goes, "Yes." He goes, "Are you looking for a fight?" "Yes." "Are you fucking mad?" "Yes." And the bloke walks off. So Danny Wallace is, when you see a picture of him, he's the geekiest bloke you'll ever see. He runs out the nightclubs and I've just won the first fight in my life thanks to the power of yes.
I just said yes.
Wow.
But if you're ever feeling down, because I know I always like when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, I was like a bit sad. But I read Yes Man, and it's a breakup book, if that makes sense. Lift you up, but that's a shout out there. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Do you want to move on to your last pick?
Yes. So again, this one I've left to last because again, it's not my favourite comedy film. It's probably my favourite comedy actor, and it's like really quite special. And like I say, we lost him quite not too long ago as well. It's directed by Chris Columbus.
Oh.
1993. It's probably where I got the love for RuPaul's Drag Race. It was Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, I thought you were going to go like 2-1 food.
2-1 food.
I was
Thanks
like,
for everything.
Thanks for everything, Julie Andrews. I absolutely love that film.
Nope, but Robin Williams was the first trans watching a man in drag, doing it well.
I'm gonna throw something out there. Yes, I have seen it. I'm just not a big fan of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Really?
I'm really not.
Oh.
I've watched it once. It's enough for me. I don't need to watch it again. I get that why people are the way they are around it. It's just not me. No.
Like I say, I can as Callie said, some comedies are not for everyone, or some films are not for everyone. But for me, I've got really warm memories of going to the cinema for the first time to see this. I think we came out the same time as Independence Day. So me and my auntie went to see Independence Day, but it was full. So she went to see Mrs. Doubtfire instead. And I remember laughing my back off, just like say the general humour about it, like say him making a mistake and losing his family, like say again the cast in it, like say Sally Field, Pierce Brosnan, even the kids weren't even that annoying, like had the little girl out with Matilda in as well.
That's true.
Yes.
And it's just fun and lighthearted, and like say a redemption film as well, like where he wants to spend time with his kids, like not many like dads, like when they've split up, would make that time, and he's went to the effort to do it, and he's done it in a way which he creates this character, Mrs. Doubtfire, which is like an English woman. Hello. Yes. And like the elements begin when like she destroys a mask and she's getting interviewed, so she puts her face in a cake, so she's got like this like facial on that's dripping into the tea, and they're drinking the tea together. Even throwing stuff off Pierce Brosnan's head, and when
I forget he's
taking the thing off the car.
Yeah, when he's getting angry, he's going.
I found this. And he's like, "It's my jag."
I totally forget that he is in that film. Like, see, because I don't watch it. Like, I think I've only seen it like a couple of times. I'm not saying it's bad. Please don't come at me.
Oh no,
it's bad.
It's just not for you. It's not your future.
No, it's just not something I would go back to like over and over again, like Grown Ups.
Yeah,
you can come at us for that. I'm fine with that. I'll handle myself when it comes down to Grown Ups, because that film is terrible.
Well, again, like any film that Robin will, like I know, like in his later years, he's done a few dark films, like 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia, done really well. But as a comedian, there was no one better. Like take crime, like Good Morning Vietnam,
Mork and Mindy, man.
Morgan Mindy.
Morgan Mindy. I loved him in that.
Did you ever see him when he did SVU, Law and Order?
No.
He did 2 episodes of SVU, Law and Order, and it is fucking phenomenal. That man can act. Like, he was a scary mofo on them programs.
I've seen Insomnia as a serial killer. He's terrifying.
Oh my god!
I don't want to think of him as a serial killer. He's Robin.
Al Pacino is in it as well. It's like it's based in, like, say, in, I think it's Antarctica, where, like, you know, when the sun stays up for so long, and Al Pacino's investigating. Like,
you mean Alaska?
But he can't sleep because there's always light. So, and Robin Williams is the serial killer.
Do you mean Alaska?
Alaska, yeah. Sorry.
Is it Antarctica? I was like, that's a bit far out.
No, northern, like, up north.
Yes.
But
it's only
yeah.
because there's a vampire film around in Alaska, because the sun is down like majority of the time, so it's a perfect venture for vampires to go to. I think Danny Houston's in it.
Really 30 Days a Night, that one. But,
yes.
But that's got Josh Hartnett in as well. But no. But like, as I said, with Robin Williams, again, not to bring the tone down, like I say, everyone goes through mental health and we don't know what people go through. So it just shows, like I say, how important it is to talk and stuff. But I say that we lost him because of, like I say, what was going on. But he brought so much joy. Even like some of his weird films, like Toys, like I say, that was always a strange film I never quite got.
I really like Toys, and to be honest, I thought it was a horror film to start with, because
it's weird.
Some toys generally do scare me. Just the generic looking toys do freak me out, and that's where I think people's mindset goes to sometimes, that they are just going to freak me out with normal looking stuff, and it wasn't. It was a child's film. I was totally wrong.
Yeah, but I even loved them in Popeye, to be honest. So I can't really.
Oh, Popeye! God, yeah.
It's just obviously. I don't. Again, Sam's going to bring the tone down, but what I watched, I went through I'm very morbid. Death fascinates me, and the leading up to it does as well. And I watched an interview with his wife, and what he went through mentally. He was very poorly. He'd just been recently diagnosed. I think it was Parkinson's, or it was a neurological disease, and he was on the verge of just losing himself completely. Yeah. He also went through a hell of a time. Like, Christopher Reeves was one of his best friends. Now the story of, we all know the story of Christopher Reeves. He had his horse riding accident. He passes away from it. Did you know that his wife died as well? And that they have a son. Robin carries all that with him.
Jesus.
Heartbreaking. He loses a lot of friends, but his wife says, like, he carried every single one of them with him every day. And
it's always a sad
much to bear.
Yeah, it's a hard thing, and it's like I say, it's not something to ever be scoffed at, because, like I say, as you said, he's like I say, he's always seemed like really happy and like one of the funniest people. And to be honest, to try and bring the mood back up,
let's bring it up, because I'll throw it down again.
He'll always be our childhood as well, because he'll always be the best Disney
He'll
character.
always be the genie.
You know that.
The genie is amazing.
Peter Pan.
Oh my God, Hook!
Peter Pan and Hook. But the genie in Aladdin.
Genie, oh yes.
I know they did it with Will Smith, and it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. But
no, it wasn't, and you can't compare greatness. You cannot, because that is. I still, to this day, on a morning, if I'm in a chipper mood, I have what's the song? It's playing in my head right now, but I'm not to the chorus.
Which one? Ali, Alia, he, Alia.
That's it. Yep. Yes, I have that in my head in the morning, and it's Robin Williams singing it to us. You can't say one's better than the other, because he's just
Jumanji. Oh my God,
Jumanji. Oh my God.
Jumanji's got a lot to answer for this year.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of all the Robin Williams things that like kind of flashing. It's like when your life flashes before your eyes, just like Robin Williams, like in everything, and I'm like, oh Jesus, what?
So that's what I wanted to do with, like, say, because I know probably in the list that we'll do in the future, we'll probably do top 5 actors, top 5 actresses. We'll probably will hit on that. But I really wanted to hit on the comedies, like say that, not just the comedies. I wanted to be the actors that stood out, like say John Candy, Tom Hanks, Robin Williams. Them are the 3 main skills
you've done.
Them are the 3 ones that, like say, I'll always hold there, and without getting emotional, like say going back to my childhood. Them are the ones I will always go back to bring us up if I'm ever down in a dark place.
Yeah. Your choices they've been fantastic. All of them being fantastic, but Paul, yours alone is very homely. If it's not been the actor, it's been the film itself. It's like
Except for Mallrats, it's just a gross out dope film.
That film brings back so many memories for me, but it's also it just reminds me of me. Very much so. I just the homely films, I love it. I absolutely love your picks. Being really good.
Cool.
Do you want to know my last one?
Let's go for it.
Go for it.
So which scary film are you going to scare us with now?
It's a 2004. No, that's a big fat lie, Sam. It's 2014. It is a mockumentary. It scores 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is written and directed by the amazing Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. It is What We Do in the Shadows. I fucking love this film. Up until when I got married, actually, I would watch this the night before Halloween and Halloween, and then I would watch The Exorcist with it too. But literally since it came out, it was added into my Halloween film because it is phenomenal. So much so, my mum has only seen 30 minutes of What We Do in the Shadows, and that was enough for her to say, I'm going to go and watch the TV series. And she also watches the spin-off as well with the policeman. She absolutely adores this franchise, but has only seen 30 minutes of the film.
I haven't seen it at all.
Oh my gosh!
I'm going to be quite controversial here. I like the film. I love the TV show more.
No, I totally get it. I get that. I totally understand where you're coming from. The film is just a setting place. The TV series proper elevated. Like Matt Berry is the funniest he has ever been, and that is saying something because that man is fucking hilarious in What We Do in the Shadows. I can't wait for series 3. My mum.
I think this will be right up your street, Kelly. Being honest with you,
I've seen the odd episode. Do you know? Because the thing is, I don't watch like telly. I'm really shit. I crochet and listen to podcasts. That's my bag. You know what I mean? Just I've always got.
I love that. I know. I love that. I'm a podcast queen, but mine's during the day. Nighttime is like my telly time. I never used to be like that as a kid. I never watched. I listened to my radio. Mike the Mouth Elliott and Night Owls. That was my thing. Like
class.
I totally get that. But What We Do in the Shadows is it's hard to talk about because it is this.
It's very much like The Office.
What am I trying to say?
It's like The Office type famous. It's a mockumentary, but
that dynamic.
Yeah, but Taika Waititi in this, man, like he's so.
Can he do any wrong? Has he done anything that's been bad? I don't think he's done anything that's been shit.
Apart from some personal choices he's made recently in his personal life, no, he cannot do anything wrong. He is unreal. If you've ever seen Jojo Rabbit, it just goes to prove the level of where this man is at. He is phenomenal. But Jermaine Clement is no different. Like when it comes to them two, they work so well together. I love that they used their characters in What We Do in the Shadows TV series. I love that. I thought that was fantastic. I love the dynamic. I love the characters. I love the fact that the facts that go along with it as well. This is nearly 10 years in the making. And they recorded over thousands upon thousands of hours because it was so easy for them to do. There is not really a script. It was just direction. They were just having
fun on it. You can tell
exactly, that. But 10 years of fun. And they noticed that some of the shops in New Zealand don't exist anymore. Like they're just like they've gone. And do you know this was one of the most pirated, copied films ever because of how hard New Zealand made it for the world to watch it. The only reason we have it for is because of a Kickstarter that they did in America to get it broadcast over there. Otherwise, we would never have known this existed.
Shut the front door.
Exactly. But yeah, it
That
is.
is a good pick. Like I said, again,
Jesus.
not one I would have expected you to pick, but I should have thought about it. But
Like, why would you not think I would pick this? This is right up my street. It's gothy as hell. It has some of the most brilliant costumes and it's very Victorian. Like, the Jermaine Clements character is very much Matt Berry, but Matt Berry just elevates it higher and higher. But the fact that he has a relationship with a woman called the Beast.
I'm still in love with Nadia, so I can't really complain.
Oh, Nadia is just my spirit animal. I want to be her so badly. She just is amazing. So yes, that is my last pick. I can't really go into a lot of detail with it because it's just great.
No problem. Well, that's our picks. So,
yep.
So thank you very much for joining us, Kelly. I hope you enjoyed that.
No bother, my husband just knocked on the door and went, "Will you keep it down? The band's going to bed."
Sorry.
So it couldn't have happened at the best time. Thank you guys so much for having me. I've had a load of fun, and it's been well meant.
We'll get you on again soon as well.
So definitely have you back, Kelly. It's been so much fun. I have never laughed so much. Like I can see here my eye is black underneath because my eye makeup is like come down. I've never. Sorry, Paul. I'm not saying you're not funny, but
all right. I've got shit crack. It's fine.
Oh, it was great. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, Kelly.
No, it's been a pleasure. Like I say, if you'll have us back, I'd be back with bells on. I've had a really good time.
No problem. Just to shout as well, like I say, thank you for everyone who's watching us. Thank you for everyone who's joined us on Facebook, on the, like I say, the Nerdy Up North community. Like I say, join us on Instagram. Like I say, remember to like, share, comment on our YouTube channel, iTunes, Spotify. Please follow us. Try and get as many views as we can. Like I say, get the nerdy northness out of it. But yeah, so thank you very much. And remember, like I say, same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks, everyone. Stay nerdy, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.